Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lefty's Place, MLB edition. Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the Miami Marlins. Yes, finally we're going to be getting into baseball, especially now with the MLB season underway. I'm going to be talking about the Miami Marlins outlook, pretty much like the direction of the organization, where they are now compared to years prior, and how the future of the franchise is looking. So getting underway, I'm going to be talking about, and just to mention, you guys are probably wondering why there's a different angle here, and because I'm going to be showing you guys my screen. This it's like a little screen recording, so you guys can follow with me as I talk about the team and the key players and all that, so you guys can follow along with me on my screen. And starting off, I'm going to be talking about the 2019 season, just to give a little overview of how it was. As you guys can see here, it wasn't a good season. When you lose 100 games in a 162 game season, that's obviously not successful at all. But a lot of that has to do with the division that we were in. Easily the toughest division in the entire league, the NL East, with teams like the Atlanta Braves, Washington Nationals, New York Mets, and Philadelphia Phillies. All four of those teams are considered at least semi-contenders. Like obviously Nationals winning the World Series last year, are expected to be just as good and compete for back-to-back titles. The Atlanta Braves are probably the best team in the division. And then you got like the Phillies, who were they actually underperformed last year, but also you just have to look at the records. Like the fact that the Phillies, the fourth worst team in the division, finished 500, that's extremely rare. When you look at all the other divisions, the fourth team in those divisions are well under 500. So, definitely goes to show how impressive and strong the NL East is. So, to be in the middle of a rebuild when this division is at probably its best it's ever been, doesn't really bode well for us. However, things are looking up, because when you go ahead and look at some of the top players that we had on the team that year, you see Brian Anderson, Sandy Alcantara, Caleb Smith, Garrett Cooper. Just right there, those are four guys who are young, under 30 years old, and were solid contributors to us. Starting with like Brian Anderson, who's probably going to be our top player this season. He was a rookie in 2018 and, just showed up big time, had a really impressive rookie season. His sophomore season was a little bit more of a slump, but then he picked it up towards the end and actually finished with 20 home runs. It goes to show that he has that power to be able to add to all his other tools. So definitely the most all-around player that we have. And then second, you see Sandy Alcantara, who was our representative in the All-Star game last year. He's already been put as the starter for the opening day game. And, it's just really exciting to see, him as a young guy, because we actually got him in those trades, when we got rid of Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna, D. Gordon. When we got rid of all those guys a couple years ago, when Derek Jeter came in, he was one of the guys that we picked up. So, definitely, and actually same thing with Caleb Smith. So another pitcher who performed incredibly well last year and looks to be just as big a part of our rotation this season. So now as we go into the depth chart of our 2020 season, you get to see, who's going to be on our roster, who's going to be very important for us. And when you starting here with our pitching staff, easily probably our biggest strength on our team being our starting rotation. Like I already said, Sandy Alcantara being our ace, our second pitcher being Caleb Smith, and then Pablo Lopez. All three of those guys extremely young, 29 and under, and have a lot of potential. So definitely we have the most strength there. But then when you go into our fourth and fifth starter, it's we're a little bit weaker there with Jose Urena, who's always been a very inconsistent player with us. But at the tail end of last season, he actually performed pretty well, which is why he was given an opportunity this year to stay in the starting rotation. And Eliza Hernandez, another guy who extremely young last season, came in and performed really well. So overall, our starting rotation seems to be the strength of our team this year. So definitely keep an eye on that. However, when you look at where we made our biggest improvements, it would definitely be in our bullpen and our offense. When you go to the bullpen, I mean, losing Drew Steckenrider this year, if some of you don't know, Drew Steckenrider was going to be one of our best relievers. And last year he was injured, and this year, once again, was put on the 60-day DL. So he's probably not going to be playing this season. We'll have to expect him for the 2021 season. So that kind of sucks. But we still have some pretty good players like Brandon Kinsler, who was brought in on a one-year deal. Yimi Garcia, who was brought in from the Dodgers. Ryan Stanek, another guy who we traded for last year. Brad Boxberger, who was actually expected to be in the minors, but he performed really well in spring training and got the opportunity to be in the bullpen for us this year. Adam Conley. I mean, yeah, let's just move on from that one. That guy, he sucks. I mean, I don't like him at all. He flashed some really good excellence in the bullpen. He actually started as a starter and was terrible, but when he got some opportunities in the bullpen, he performed pretty well, but then fell off. So I don't know why he even made the roster. I feel like we could have added some prospects there. We do have, it doesn't say it here, but we do have Nick Nieder, who's one of our prospects that's going to be in the bullpen. He's projected to be a starter, but the thing is, with so many players and young potential prospects going to become starters eventually, it probably looks more likely that he's going to be in the bullpen. But he's definitely going to be our top rookie this season, so definitely keep an eye on Nick Nieder to see what he can bring to us in the bullpen. What else? Now moving on to our positional players. You got guys like Jorge Alfaro, who was great for us last year after we got him in the JT Realmuto trade. Jesus Aguilar, who was one of the additions that we made, including with Corey Dickerson, Jonathan Villar, Matt Joyce, and even Matt Kemp. We added a lot of good veteran bats to our lineup, which is what we needed, being one of the worst offensive teams in the league last year. I believe we ranked last in home runs and second to last in runs scored. So that's definitely an area that we needed to improve in. And adding these veteran guys is definitely going to do that. Like I already said, Brian Anderson at our hot corner and third base. He's going to be extremely important to our success this season, probably the most important player. And actually, before I move on, probably out of our additions, the biggest the guy who I believe is going to make the biggest difference is going to be Jonathan Villar. Because during spring training, he's been our leadoff man. He adds the speed that we did not have at all last year. And, he's definitely going to be a really important player for us. However, if we end up struggling early on, because with the 60-game season, it's a sprint. Every single game is important. So if we struggle out of the gate, don't be surprised if you see Jonathan Villar or VR. I'm my bad if I'm saying the name wrong. In the trade market, because since he is on a one-year deal, a lot of contenders can definitely be eyeing him and seeing him to boost their championship run. So aside from that, Isan Diaz. I'm a huge lover of Isan Diaz, even though he hasn't really proven it in the majors. Last year in the minors, he was like the guy that all Marlins fans were hyped to see in the majors, and he did make that call up. He did get that call up. However, it wasn't as good as we were hoping. He really struggled hitting in the hundreds, which is really bad. Even if you're at 200, it's not that good. So being in the hundreds, definitely a disappointment, but hopefully, since that was just his first taste of the majors, he just needed a little bit of time, and this year he can really prove that he can be a mainstay at that second base position for us. After that, Miguel Rojas. Miguel Rojas, easily my favorite player on the Marlins now. He's kind of like the UD. I mean, not really, because UD, no one's like UD from the Miami Heat, but he's been with us for as long as I can really think right now. I can't really remember how many years he's been with us, but it's definitely been a while. And he's a utility guy, someone you can place pretty much anywhere on the field. But this year, since we don't have a lot of depth at the shortstop position, he's going to be primarily there and be our everyday shortstop. Obviously, for some days that he needs rest, you might see a guy like Jonathan Villar there or John Berti, who's also a utility guy that you would just slot in at any position that you might need him in the infield. But overall, I like our infield, especially when you add Jesus Aguilar. Like I said, he had huge seasons in 2017, 2018. And I know that was a little while ago, and he's had a bit of a slump since then. But hopefully, in this new situation and getting the opportunity at first base, he can, prove that he still has what it takes to be an everyday first baseman. However, even if he does not, don't fear, because we have Garrett Cooper, who was very strong for us last year, behind him in the depth chart, and you can expect probably some switches here and there with him. Another guy I definitely want to mention is Francisco Cervelli, our backup catcher. Jorge Alfaro is definitely going to be our everyday catcher. He's the guy that we got in the JT Realmuto trade, so we want him to be the face at center. However, whenever he if he gets injured, knock on wood, or he struggles a little bit, you're definitely going to have, or even a rest day, you're going to have Francisco Cervelli, a 35-year-old veteran who's been there and done that, to help a lot of the young pitchers, get through the season. All right, so now moving on. Now we've talked about the team and what we're expecting from them. Oh, and how can I forget Harold Ramirez? My bad, guys. Who might get a start at right field with Matt Joyce and Lewis Brinson on the 10th. I don't even want to talk about Lewis Brinson. I'm not going to talk about him until he proves that he can actually, perform in the majors. Being the prize piece of that Yelich trade and performing as bad as he has, it's just like he doesn't even deserve any talk. But, Harold Ramirez is probably going to get, some time at that right field position, because it's not really sure who's going to be there at the moment, especially with us not knowing the starting lineup yet. But, definitely expect Harold Ramirez to get some looks there at right field. So now moving on, I want to talk about the prospects, because honestly, since Derek Jeter, because I haven't even talked about this, but Derek Jeter joined, you guys should know this, but Derek Jeter became president of the Miami Marlins 2 years ago, taking over for Jeffrey Loria, who was probably the worst president, owner, whatever, ever in the history of the Major League Baseball. I can say that with so much passion, because he made it so hard for people to actually be invested into the Marlins. Like me, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I watched Marlins games. Stanton was there and all that. But I was never 100% invested where I'm like, man, I want to go to Marlins games every day. It was just hard, because when you see what the ownership would do, and I remember that season when they signed guys like Jose Reyes, and they had so many guys on big deals brought in, and it was hyped, and it fell apart. They literally sold them the next season, and it was it kind of felt like there was no direction. They didn't know what they were doing, and that's a fact. They really did not know what they were doing with Jeffrey Loria, kind of controlling everything. But now with Derek Jeter, he has done it right, building it from the ground up, because that's what you got to do in baseball. You can't just throw money at these problems and expect them to get solved. Wei-Yin Chen being a super big example of that, and thank God he's gone. But with the way it works in baseball, the way teams are consistently good, like the Rays, like the Astros. Now I know they were bad for so many years, but now they seem to be, they have years of consistent good play. I know there's a lot of controversy with them now, but that's just the plain facts. The reason for that is because they build up their farm system. And if, some of you don't know, farm system is like the prospects that, you draft, you sign from international countries, that, are just young guys that you want to develop in the minor leagues and eventually get into the majors. Derek Jeter has focused on that primarily with this team, and he's turned it around 100%. Literally, it's a 180. And so that you guys understand that, look at this. This is a ranking of all the top farm systems in the major leagues. And obviously, Tampa Bay Rays, number one, like I said. San Diego Padres, who have been number one for so many years, but now they're getting some of their guys into the majors. So, they dropped one spot. The Dodgers, who have been good for so long, and now the Miami Marlins. We're number 4. And if you look right here, 2019 preseason rank, we were unranked, which means we, we were terrible. We were one of the worst in the league. It says right here, the Marlins had arguably the baseball's worst farm system 2 years ago. Just 2 years ago, we had the worst farm system because Loria did not invest in it at all. Now we have had a dramatic improvement there, as we are now ranked number 4 with guys like Sixto Sanchez, who we got in the Real Muto trade, JJ Bleday, who we drafted, Jazz and Jesus, who we both got traded for as well, and Edward Cabrera, who's been like one that has had a huge rise. But having 5 guys in the top 100 is extremely impressive, and it's a big testament to how Jeter has really turned around this franchise. I mean, that's pretty much everything in terms of like the overview of the Marlins. Now, in terms of expectations, there really isn't any when you consider, like I said, them being in the hardest division in baseball, still being in the middle of a rebuild, but we're close. We're really close to, regularly contending. And that's all we really wanted. I mean, just to not have like one really good season like the Marlins franchise has been in the past. Like, they've literally, crazy stat if you didn't know this already. The Miami Marlins have made it to the postseason twice in their history. Twice. How many World Series do they have? World Series wins, whatever. 2. They have won every single time they've made it to the postseason. However, the only reason they've made it twice is because they fall apart afterwards, because there's no direction, there's no structure. Now there's a way for us to make it to the postseason, and probably not, win the World Series every time. That's not realistic, but consistently have good seasons. Not over 500 one year, under 500 the next. No. The whole point of this process and, bringing in all these prospects is to build a consistent winner. And that is exactly what Derek Jeter has done. So for my predictions for this season, I do feel like we have an opportunity to, make some noise and maybe be around 500. I don't think we'll be over 500 or even at 500, just because, like I've already said a bunch of times, how hard the division is, and on top of that, how difficult our schedule is, because we're pretty much taking on only division opponents, like maybe a couple non-division opponents, and some of them, one of them was like the Yankees, who is still extremely hard, and the Tampa Bay Rays, like I've already talked about, are extremely difficult and always consistent. So it's definitely going to be a tough schedule, but with it being 60 games, I definitely feel like, and adding all those veteran bats and all that, we have an opportunity to make noise. So definitely stay tuned and get ready for an exciting season of Marlins baseball. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I definitely am enjoying bringing out all this Miami sports content to you guys. I'm going to continue doing some of these previews. I'm probably going to be talking about the Miami Heat soon, with the NBA season about to go underway, and then obviously the Dolphins if the NFL ever gets their shit together. But yeah, definitely going to continue to bringing this content out to you guys. And if you guys enjoyed, please hit the like button and subscribe, and ring the notification bell for any future videos. Have a great day.